The government continues to enhance the growth of Jamaica's tourism sector with the establishment of the first comprehensive tourism workers' pension plan in the world. The plan is a combination of a $1 billion seed fund from the government and contributions from tourism workers. Since its rollout in January 2022, over 9,000 workers are enrolled in the plan. Today we mark World Tourism Day with renewed focus on investing in the sector's human capital development. World Tourism Day is being celebrated under the theme Tourism and Green Investments. Our celebrations are also part of Tourism Awareness Week activities, which started on Sunday and ends this Saturday, September 30. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. We have lots for you to discover today, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good day, I'm Adrian Atkinson and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, September 27, 2023. Stronger penalties as well as more structured and defined processes are laid out in amendments to the legislation governing the Zones of Special Operation, ZOSOs. All 18 amendments made by the Joint Select Committee were approved without further changes in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The bill, entitled An Act to Amend the Law Reform Zones of Special Operations, Special Security and Community Development Measures Act 2017, was piloted by Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang. The amendments lay out the grounds on which a ZOSO can be established, extending the declaration and extension periods from 60 to 180 days. The Minister of National Security has been added to the list of persons who may declare a ZOSO, and the circumstance to end an operation has also been broadened. Meanwhile, where a curfew has been established in a zone, the bill states that a notice must be displayed in the community and at near points outside the zone to notify residents. A breach of the curfew without reasonable excuse will attract a fine of $1 million or prison term not exceeding 6 months. The time frame for persons arrested to be taken before justice of the peace has moved from 24 to 48 hours. With the amendments, the Joint Security Forces now have the power to make arrests outside the zone in pursuit of suspects fleeing the area. And a clause has been added to make it an offence to threaten, assault, or obstruct the Joint Security Forces from carrying out their duties. This will attract a fine of $1 million or a prison term of 1 year. Minister Chang says the legislation will enable continued social development, restoring good order, public safety within communities.
The proposed amendments are in the best interest of the people who reside within these vulnerable communities and volatile, and therefore in the best interest of the country, and reflects in many ways the strength of our democracy, as we not only had the Joint Select Committee members commenting, making suggestions and reviewing submissions, and submissions came from an extremely wide cross-section of society.
ZOSOs are now in place in 7 communities across 4 parishes: St. James, Westmoreland, Kingston and St. Andrew. Total expenditure and payments of the third supplementary estimates now stands at $1.94 trillion. The distribution is outlined in the second supplementary estimates for the current 2023-2024 financial year that was tabled by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke during yesterday's sitting of the House of Representatives. Minister Clarke says the figure is an increase of $58.2 billion over the second supplementary estimates. He says the increase will be financed by a projected increase in revenues and grants of $43.1 billion. These comprise mainly of increases in tax revenue of $35.8 billion, non-tax revenue of $6.1 billion, and grants of $1 billion.
The third supplementary estimates provide for non-debt recurrent expenditure of $719.4 billion, inclusive of below-the-line amounts, which represent an increase of $39.1 billion over the second supplementary estimates. Capital expenditure of $66.6 billion, which represents a reduction of $8.7 billion on the prior allocation for capital programs, and debt service of $308 billion, comprised of interest payments of $170 billion, which represents an increase of $14.9 billion, and amortization payments of $138 billion, representing an increase of $12.9 billion.
Minister Clark also shared that the net increase in current programs include $1.7 billion for the holding of local government elections.
$480 million to the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, of which $400 million is for social housing and $80 million to support the trucking of water by the NWC to drought-stricken areas. $420 million to the Ministry of Local Government, of which $100 million for the cleanup of town centres, $200 million for community roads, $120 million for indigent housing, and $60 million for the trucking of water. $200 million to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for the provision of compassionate grants, $260 million to the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries for farm roads, $126 million to the Ministry of Culture, Gender and Sport.
$50.9 million will also be used to support the establishment of a JIS regional office in St. Thomas. Still in Parliament, on Tuesday, East Rural St. Andrew Member of Parliament Juliet Holness has been appointed Speaker of House of Representatives following the resignation of Marissa Dalrymple Philibert. Mrs. Holness, who served as Deputy House Speaker, was nominated by her peers and received the support from both sides of the aisle.
I have absolutely no doubt that your competence, your skill, your intelligence will ensure that this Parliament is conducted in an orderly and in a way that the Jamaican people can be proud.
Madam Speaker, I join with my colleague in congratulating you on the ascension to the chair of Speaker of this great House.
The Speaker of the House is supported by new Deputy Speaker, Heroy Clark, who serves as Member of Parliament for Central St. James.
I accept my responsibility with great humility, and I will always endeavor to ensure that I manage with equity, judiciously, balance, and always in keeping with the standing orders of this noble House.
And I too affirm that I will work diligently along with my colleagues on both sides to make sure that discipline and order continue to be in this House.
Meanwhile, former House Speaker Marissa Dalrymple Philibert was lauded for her contribution to the lower house.
This House would like to extend its thanks and appreciation to the outgoing Speaker, the Member of Parliament for South Trelawney, and we wish her well, but do express our appreciation for the sterling work she contributed as Speaker of the House.
In other news, government is seeking to increase Jamaica's land mass protection to close to 40% by 2030. Minister Samuda, who made the disclosure at the recent Tourism Awareness Week 2023 tree planting exercise, said this target surpasses the international goal of 30% protection by the year 2025.
So Jamaica will be well ahead of the international targets and will indeed exceed those targets, getting to about 40% by 2030. And that's something we're proud of.
The country is also on track to achieving its target of planting 3 million timber and ornamental trees by the end of the year. The National Tree Planting Initiative, which was launched in November 2019, is aimed at expanding forested areas, including public and private forests.
As at now, Jamaica has planted 2.7 million trees as a part of that target. We'll be able to complete that last 300,000 tree planting initiative.
And finally, the Maritime Authority of Jamaica MAJ Office Centre building in downtown Kingston will be illuminated blue tomorrow evening in observation of World Maritime Day. Speaking at a JIS think tank session on Tuesday, MAJ Director General Rear Admiral Peter Brady said the International Maritime Organization, IMO, has asked all member states to participate in the floodlighting event.
just to demonstrate the critical importance of the oceans and how shipping has to play its part in keeping the oceans clean and safe.
Transport Minister Darrell Vaz and MAJ Board Chair Cora Ann Robertson Sylvester will address the ceremony. Other activities are planned to mark the day.
There are a series of events that take place. For instance, the Caribbean Maritime University is having an industrial seminar on World Maritime Day, 28th of September this week. And they're looking, for instance, at risks that need to be tackled in the coming years for shipping to be safe and secure. On that day too, the Maritime Authority of Jamaica is doing a number of seminars and webinars.
World Maritime Day 2023 is being observed under the theme MARPOL at 50. Our commitment goes on, which notes the 50th anniversary of the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
Up to August this year, Jamaica has welcomed 2.77 million visitors with earnings in USD of $2.9 billion. This is an increase of 81.06% in arrivals and 21.8% increase in earnings when compared to the January to August 2022 period. All signs that Jamaica's post-pandemic recovery continues to be strong. Get more details from Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett.
As we enter the post-COVID-19 era, it is clear that by investing in sustainable practices, we can unlock the immense potential of Jamaica's tourism industry as a catalyst for positive change. This is why I'm so delighted that this year we will observe Tourism Awareness Week in Jamaica under the United Nations World Tourism Organization's theme for World Tourism Day, Tourism and Green Investments, and of course seeks to highlight the need to focus on investing in people, planet, and prosperity. The theme is right on point, as it recognizes the urgent need for responsible tourism practices that prioritize the well-being of our planet and its inhabitants. As stewards of this beautiful earth, it is our moral responsibility to safeguard its natural, economic, and social resources for future generations. Our activities for Tourism Awareness Week, which runs from September 24 to 30, will reflect this timely theme. Of course, the activities include daily advertorials highlighting initiatives of the Ministry of Tourism and its public bodies that exemplify the Tourism Awareness Week theme. A church service, tree planting and handing over exercises at Tourism Action Club in schools in 6 resort areas. A speakers series at Tourism Action Clubs again across schools in Jamaica. A youth forum on September 27, which in fact is World Tourism Day. Visionary expositions and workshops. A tourism stakeholders engagement activity, among others. The COVID-19 pandemic, I think, presented us with the unprecedented opportunity to rethink tourism for the future and to maximize its impact by building it around a more equitable, sustainable, and resilient tourism development model. The good thing is that Jamaica had a head start, as the fundamental pillars of our tourism growth have always centered around 1, strengthening linkages with other sectors of the economy. 2, increasing the benefits derived from tourism by residents and communities. 3, promoting broader participation by all Jamaicans through training and certification. And fourthly, ensuring the safety, security, and sustainability of the natural and built environments. Tourism is a key driver of the national economy and is a major contributor to gross domestic product and employment, as well as a leading earner of foreign exchange. The tourism sector has distinguished itself as the engine of growth, fueling Jamaica's post-pandemic economic recovery. However, in the quest for further growth, we should not lose sight of the importance of sustainable and responsible tourism practices, which can help to protect our environment and enrich our local communities. The tourism sector is performing phenomenally. Last year, we welcomed 3.3 million visitors and generated US $3.7 billion in earnings. More importantly, recent Jamaica Tourist Board figures indicate that between January and August of this year, we welcomed some 2.77 million visitors, a 32.6% increase over the corresponding period last year. This includes 1.97 million stopover visitors, up 19.7%, and 801,042 cruise visitors, representing an increase of 81.06% over the same period last year, with gross earnings of some US $2.93 billion, which is 21.8% increase in gross tourism dollar earned in just 8 months. If this record growth continues, which we expect it to do, we are on track to meet our projections of 3.8 million visitors and foreign exchange earnings of $4.1 billion by year end. And this would be a record earning. It would be the first time that Jamaica would have annexed the $4 billion mark in earnings in 1 year. Investment is no longer resigned to the block and steel of infrastructure. Investing in human capital, technology and innovation, entrepreneurship, and the environment are equally important for the sustainable growth of travel and tourism. Investing in people is one of the fundamental pillars of our tourism growth strategy. We believe in empowering our citizens through education and skill development so they can fully participate in the tourism industry and reap its many benefits. By providing training and certification programs through the Jamaica Center of Tourism Innovation, the JCTI, a division of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, we are creating a workforce that is knowledgeable, skilled, and equipped to deliver world-class service. Investing in our planet is another key element of our development strategy. We are committed to minimizing the impact of tourism on our environment by promoting sustainable practices. Through initiatives such as disaster risk management, multi-hazard and contingency planning, waste management, as well as our environmental awareness and stewardship efforts, we seek to preserve our natural resources for future generations to enjoy. Lastly, investing in prosperity means leveraging tourism as a catalyst for economic growth and development. By strengthening the sustainable linkages between tourism and other economic sectors, such as agriculture and manufacturing, providing technical and financial support for small and medium tourism enterprises, SMTEs, fostering partnerships with local communities and tourism initiatives, and incentivizing idea stage businesses, we can create more opportunities for entrepreneurship and encourage innovation in the tourism sector. As we observe Tourism Awareness Week, let us remember that each one of us has a role to play in promoting sustainable tourism. Whether we are travelers, tourism stakeholders, industry workers, or policymakers, we have the power to make a difference. Let us continue to work together to build a more resilient and inclusive tourism industry that not only drives prosperity, but also safeguards our environment and empowers our people and their communities. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
We are in a race a race against time to reverse the effects of climate change by one simple action which has positive and enduring effects. That's right, plant a tree, leave a lasting legacy. Join the My Tree Legacy promotion by planting a tree at your alma mater and share your work with us. Every tree counts. Plant a tree today and keep climate change away.
We now share highlights of a recent global summit where industry players discuss the future of the tourism industry.
I appreciate that we're working on our resilience as a small island state. That is very important given that tourism is one of our main income earners.
It has been awesome. Lots of information sharing, and we are glad that we came all the way to Jamaica.
I'm really excited to actually go out and use the information that I've learned.
It's been a real pleasure to come here and see how the two regions, in particular the Caribbean and Africa, have really come together to try to foster a spirit of collaboration.
Tourism resilience is the strategic management of shocks and effectively responding to them. It's the focus of the first ever Global Tourism Resilience Conference.
Jamaica is leading discussions on tourism resilience. Recently, government officials from the continent of Africa, the Caribbean region, and international tourism stakeholders converged on the island to discuss the way forward.
They are here to forge a relationship not just with Jamaica but the entire Caribbean.
The historic Global Tourism Resilience Conference was held at the University of the West Indies regional headquarters in Kingston from February 15 to 17. It is a welcomed shift to future-proofing the tourism economy. The conference was organized by Jamaica's Ministry of Tourism and its Global Tourism Resilience Center, GTRC. Globally, the tourism industry continues to recover from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which halted travel and resulted in labor market disruptions. It is within this atmosphere of disruptions that the tourism resilience movement gathered momentum.
The pandemic has underscored the importance of a proactive, cross-cutting approach to building resilience across the entire tourism value chain. This entails integrating the latest research findings, innovations, and technology to create sustainable tourism practices.
And the thing is, how many countries, how many destinations have a blueprint, have a manual of crisis management that they can actually refer to?
What you've said is why we need to have the Global Resilience Day. A day when people pause all over the world to reflect on these things and to develop resolves.
But we are also considering an incentive, a fiscal incentive package for those businesses who would want to get involved in sustainable development tourism projects.
Jamaica and the Caribbean have a strong history of developing institutions to train the workforce in all aspects of tourism. This is an area where we can offer support to our colleagues through technical training in countries in Africa that are currently rebuilding or expanding their tourism industry.
And that's why we are really indeed glad that we are here. And we know for sure that one of the bridges that can be built between the Caribbean and the mother continent is actually through tourism.
also, we are working with several countries like Somalia, Ethiopia, Spain, and Greece to come up with strategies to support visitor economy in conflict areas.
So we are living in 2025 and 2026 today. All the decisions we're making today, you'll see the result then.
We have always talked about sustainability, but I think, as I said, it cannot be something just talk. Now it has to be in policy, it has to be in everything we do from a private and a public sector point of view.
The final day of the conference also marked the official launch of February 17, being recognized annually as Global Tourism Resilience Day. Yes, an official designation by the United Nations after a proposal by Jamaica. The day recognizes the recovery measures used to adapt and respond to disruptions in the tourism economy.
Throughout the conference, new synergies were formed. A memorandum of understanding was signed between Jamaica and the city of Malaga to share best practices on tourism development. The prestigious World Travel Awards added a new category for Resilience Awards, and the conference ended with the adoption of 3 recommendations to strengthen the sustainability of the industry. The recommendations in the Kingston Declaration are: reigniting global South-to-South relations using tourism with Africa and the Caribbean, establishing a global tourism resilience fund to support tourism-dependent countries in times of crises and disasters, labor market recovery that does not leave tourism workers behind.
Moving forward, I see us doing a lot more analysis, a collection of data, creating management systems, templates of what to do, what not to do.
We are going to collaborate better as countries, also as continents, working together with the Caribbean bloc to develop our skills, to upskill our people, especially our young people.
The level of collaboration that we are experiencing between tourism partners across the world. The entities that have all gathered here are bounded by one single factor, that we are putting away competition and we are focusing on co-petition. We are going to collaborate and work together to bring back the industry strong and better. A global tourism resilience institute that will offer degrees and certification for a number of scholars and young people here in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, and the world virtually. This is going to be exciting. It will be the first ever institute in the world for tourism resilience.
The next Global Tourism Resilience Conference will be held in Malaga, Spain on February 17, 2024.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to let us know what you learned today by sending us your feedback via email at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. You can also find more content like this on our website at jis.gov.jm. Join us again tomorrow for another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Happy World Tourism Day.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.